Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Joanna. Glad you're here. What have I got going on today? Well, we have a sewing project and a non-sewing project. I'm going to show you two ways how to make a grocery bag holder. I had to make one for my church, so I figured I'd just video it and let you know how easy and simple it is. So, without further ado, let's get started. If you would, could you please like and subscribe to my channel and ring that bell, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. I appreciate all your likes and subscribes, for you help me achieve my dream. These are my fat quarters, and I have a few to show you the difference. And then I have a dish towel from Dollar Tree, and I have fabric from Hobby Lobby. When you get fat quarters, they are 18 by 22 inches, and you have prints on them, so when they cut them, they usually cut them that way. So if you fold your bag holder the way it should be, your print, my animals, would be sideways, or else you'd have a little short chubby bag holder if you did it the other way. But anyway, this is a print that is really good to make the bag holders, because you know there's no specific pattern to the flowers. They're just on there. So you want to watch when you get your material or your fat quarters. Sorry, it's late and I'm tired. To make sure that you're going the right way. I cut one out of my fabric, and I cut it out to where my wording would be up and down long ways. Now I'm just going to iron out all the wrinkles, because fresh, crisp fabric is a whole lot nicer to work with. So I'm just steam pressing all the wrinkles out. Now I'm just going to fold it in half lengthwise, which would be, the way to make it longer, not the shorter way. And all my print is going the right way, and I'm going to stitch along this edge. And the way I stitch is I pin it, and then I put my needle in my sewing machine in the center position, and then I run the edge of my fabric down the side of my presser foot. And that seems to work best for me. Now I'm just going to take my pins out, and that's where I sewed it. I'm going to show you this pin. I got it with my needle. I sew with my pins in, and you're not supposed to. It's not a good idea, but I buy glass head pins that are really small, and I very rarely ever snag them with my needle. But this just happened to be one of the times when I did. But anyways, I'm going to snip off my threads that are hanging off, and then I'm going to double fold this to make a hem and a casing for elastic. And I'm going to do this on both ends. If you have a serger, which I do, but it's put up, and not everybody has one, and I want to show you, how to do it if you ain't got one. And you're just going to serge around the edge and then fold that down to make a casing, because you wouldn't have to do this double folded. So this is my iron, y'all. Beautiful. I have had many irons, and this is by far my favorite. Y'all can get it at Amazon. I ironed my first one. Now I'm going to fold it down, and I just use my finger crease from the top of my finger down to that first crease. And then I'm going to iron that for my casing. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. I'm just going to fold up a little bit, and then iron that, and then fold it over again and make my casing. Now I'm going to take a piece of the fabric that I had that was left over where I'd cut my bag holder, and I'm just going to iron a piece over, and then I'm going to cut it out, and this is going to be the loop to hold the bag holder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew along the edge like I did the bag, and right along right there. Okay, now I'm taking my pins out and I'm clipping these threads. I hate the threads hanging. And then I'm going to take this safety pin. I buy these at Hobby Lobby, and they don't have no circle on the end of them. So you can put them in there. What in the world am I doing? I guess I was checking to see if I was recording. I don't even know, y'all. Okay, anyways. These pins, if you see, doesn't have a thing. So I'm going to show you what I did. I did it too fast. I put my pin through there where the thread is. I've always put it on the thread side. I don't know why, I just do. Then these pins, you just take them and turn them around and poke it through the hole. And then you can start scrunching and pulling your fabric, and it'll flip it inside out. And then that'll make your little strap to hang it by. Now I'm gonna clip my strings, and I left my piece. There's that little hole, and then I got one at the top, and this is where I'm gonna string my elastic through there. I gotta clip all my strings. I hate them, hate them, hate them. Okay, I'm using just braided elastic. I'll show you the size. And then I have it already unwound because I have a bunch of these. If I see them on clearance or whatever, I pick them up. I'm just going to cut. I think my circle should be that big. So I'm going to cut that, and it ended up being 10 inches. So it's 10 inches right there of elastic. So I'm going to cut 2 of them at 10 inches, one for the top, one for the bottom. And I'm going to get my safety pin again. And I am going to hook it on the elastic. And I like to hook it in and then do it again. It keeps it from twisting on me as bad. And then I'm just going to stick it in the hole, and I'm going to run it through. But before you run all the way around, I took a pin and I pinned my elastic so it wouldn't go all the way through, because, you know, you hate when that happens. Then I take the 2 pieces and join them together, and I'm going to put a pin in it, and I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch. There's my zigzag stitch. And then I wiggle it in, and then I'm going to sew that gap. I'm going to do that on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to stick it in, pull it through the top, so it's on there, and then I'm going to poke it through the hole and wiggle it around. I'm going to secure that other end with a pin. And then I'm going to continue until I get back to the gap where I was, and then I'm going to zigzag my elastics together. Now it's sewn, and I'm going to wiggle back in there, and then I'm going to go stitch it shut. Now I'm going to clip all of my strings. Make sure there's none inside or out. And I am done. Now I'm going to flip it inside out. And there she is. Ready to be filled with bags, and came out perfect. Now I'm going to get my dish towel, and it has a print on both sides. Same print. If it didn't, you could just fold it in half, and you wouldn't have to fold your ends down or anything. If you wanted to sew them, you just sew it. But seeing as how I don't want the print upside down, I cut part of it off as far up as I could go. And with this one, I'm going to do this one different. If you don't have a sewing machine and you have a hot glue gun, you can get fabric glue sticks at Hobby Lobby. And these will hold. You can wash it in cold water. You just cannot put it in the dryer. I'm going to take my towel, and I'm going to fold it right sides together, and I'm just going to clip some of the string. It's the hem, so that way that I can string my elastic through there. I don't know why I started to pin it. I think I thought I was going to sew it. But anyways, I put it together. I flip one edge back, and then I take my fabric hot glue. This is a high temp glue gun. Has a precision tip. I'm just going to put my glue down, and I'm going to mash it. You do have to mash the glue into the fibers. But normally this doesn't burn you. If your fabric is thick enough, I know it won't burn you. But anyway, I'm just going to do this all the way up until my side is sealed. Alrighty. I got glue on my hands, and this glue is so weird feeling on your hands. But anyway, now I'm just going to take this towel, and my glue will keep this from unraveling, so there's no need to double it. I'm just going to put it down where I, fold the edge down to make my casing for my elastic. I'm going to put a thin line of glue and mush it down, and I'm going to do this all the way around, and I'm going to leave it open where I can put my elastic through there. Now I'm going to take my elastic, and I'm going to cut 2 more 10-inch pieces, one for the bottom, one for the top. And I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to take my safety pin, and it'll fit. My bottom is already open where the original hem was in there. So I'm just going to take the elastic, and I'm going to push it through the hem. Then I'm going to get it in to where the bottom elastic right there catches, and I'm going to tuck it in there, and then I'm going to glue it to secure it. Then I'm going to take a needle and thread, and I'm going to tack it, and I'm just going to go around the fabric and put the stitches through the elastic and the fabric until I feel secure that it's not going to go nowhere, and then I'll finish stringing my elastic through that casing until I get to the other end. Okay, now I'm at the end, and I'm going to take the piece of elastic that's hanging out that I pulled through, and I'm just going to tack it down with the glue to make sure it don't go nowhere. Then I'm going to take my needle and thread again, make sure you knot the end, because it sure is disappointing when you pull that straight through there, trust me. And then on the other side of the glue where I glued it, I'm going to just run it around and around through the fabric and the elastic, just in one spot. It really don't matter until I feel, that I've got enough stitches in it and it's tacked down and ain't going anywhere. Then I'll tie off my ends, and I do that by making a loop and then running my needle through the loop a couple times just to make knots in it, and then I'll clip it. So I realized that I need a loop to hang it with, so I grabbed my dish towel back. This is the piece I had left, and I'm going to trim along the edge of that seam, but do not clip the threads. You want that intact. And there's my little piece so I can hang it. And I am just going to thread my elastic, but the big safety pin did not work. I had to switch and get a little safety pin. It's alright, it still worked, it just takes a little bit longer. But anyhow, I'm just going to string my elastic and sway to my music. Okay, we're all the way through. Now I'm going to take my two ends, and I'm going to, we're not using a sewing machine, but I'm not trusting this glue. So I'm just going to take a needle and thread, and I'm going to sew through it, and then sew through it, and then sew through it, and through it, and through it, and through it, until I feel that it is secure and is not going anywhere. Then I'll tie it off, and then I will stretch that casing out and then tack it back with glue. And now I'm going to take my loop and I'm going to place it at the top. And I'm just going to take a good amount of glue. Lord have mercy. I ran out of glue sticks that time. It's always something, isn't it? Anyway, I'm just going to take these and I'm going to put a good amount of glue. I believe I just said that, so that's a repeat, y'all. And I'm going to place it down, and I'm going to mush it down real good. And then I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to do the same to the other side. And y'all, this glue held really, really good, so you don't have to tack this part or, anything. And now I'm going to just flip it inside out. And this one's done. And you, like I said, can wash it as long as you wash it in cold water and do not put it in a dryer. And there you go.